In this video, I'll explain different phases of the moon and how witches use the moon to enhance their magic spells. The moon is an entrancing thing. On a clear night when the moon is full and shining serenely in the inky sky, it's usually pretty hard to pull your eyes away from it. It's a beautiful orb and it has a weird kind of mesmeric power. Witches have known about the power of the moon for thousands of years. The moon's cycle has been tied to menstruation since the lunar cycle and the menstrual cycles correlate surprisingly closely, and it's perhaps for this reason that the moon is representative of the goddess in witchcraft. When casting spells, the phases of the moon can be used as another potent symbol that can enhance the spell. For example, banishment spells are usually made at the full moon so that as the light from the full moon fades as it moves towards the new moon, when the moon goes almost entirely dark, so too does the thing that's being banished fade from the life of the witch who's doing the banishment. So let's talk about the phases of the moon, and bear in mind that this is a cycle, so it just repeats. First we have the new moon. If you want to manifest something, you'll likely want to start at the new moon so that as the light grows with the moon, so too will whatever you're summoning grow in influence, likelihood or abundance. Next we have the crescents on either side of the new moon. These are the waning crescent if it's shrinking and the waxing crescent if it's growing. When it's to do with the moon, you either have waxing or waning. Waxing is getting bigger, waning is shrinking. After the crescent is the half moon again, either waxing or waning, then the gibbous moon, and finally at the opposite end of the new moon is the full moon. I have the moon phases on the watch face of my Apple Watch, so it can be useful for other things too. Moon phases can affect how likely it is that you're going to get bitten by a wild animal. And yes, that is true.
Surprise!
It can affect mental health and physical ailments, including neurological conditions like epilepsy, and it can also tell you the best time to go to the pub, because then you'll be able to understand how much light you're going to have when you stagger home later in the evening.
Ow! Oh.
Generally speaking though, new and crescent moons allow you to grow, while full and waning moons allow you to banish. Since some spells are designed to be cast over more than one night, it could be useful to understand each phase. So let's go through a full lunar cycle and I'll tell you the significance of each phase. At the new moon, it's time to gather your thoughts and plan for the month ahead. Imagine yourself with a clean slate, a new start, a fresh canvas on which to paint the world that you want. Then comes the waxing crescent moon. Remember, this is growing, so it's a time to set your intentions and send your hopes and desires out into the world. Next comes the half moon, or as witches call it, the first quarter. This is the waxing moon, so it's still growing, and this is when you might face some obstacles. So it's important that you keep pushing forward, don't waver, just keep on going. Next, the waxing gibbous moon. Momentum should start building by now, and it's therefore important that you recognise where the successes are coming from, as well as any obstacles and how to overcome them. Perhaps realign your desires with the universe and maintain your relationship with the natural world. Then comes the full or harvest moon, and the word harvest is probably the most important one here because although you're not harvesting a crop like they would traditionally have done during a full moon, you're harvesting the fruits of your past intentions of previous phases. Now we move into the waning gibbous moon, so again shrinking, and this is a time for turning your attentions inwards. Become introspective and have gratitude for what you have, especially if your spell is starting to work. And then we have the third quarter moon. The full moon, by the way, is technically the second quarter. So the third quarter moon is a time to let things go. Let go of the bad habits and the bad connections that bind you. If you want to change, you need to release them. Now's a good time to do that. The waning crescent moon comes next, where you need to surrender, and that's not to say that you need to give up, but you need to ensure that you have some time to rest. And this is one thing that I really do struggle with the most myself. But if you take time to deliberately rest, and I do mean deliberately, you'll be far more productive next time. And then finally back to the new moon, and again this is the time for a new start. Gather your thoughts, start to plan how to improve your life, and this is also a good time to start a new spell cycle. If you want to know how to lay out your altar to make the most of the moon phases, you'll want to watch the next video. So remember to like, subscribe, ding that bell button to be notified of future uploads, and once it is uploaded, I'm going to put it just here. I'll be back next time with some more magical awesomeness, but until next time, as always,
Stay magical.